Of stages in the processing process. So you can go to nibs, you can go to cocoa liquor, you can go to cocoa butter and cocoa powder.
Now and you are going to, this is half.
At least half.
Within what period?
I think we will, first of all, to set up your processing plants and get cocoa marketing company to stop just marketing raw beans, but to also offer cocoa paste, cocoa liquor, and cocoa nibs and cocoa butter as part of its offerings is important, because you can't be a raw material producer for the rest of your life. And since the Tekwashi came and taught us how to farm cocoa and how to produce cocoa, we haven't had a structured way of evolving the farmer along the supply chain. Now let me give you 2 points about how we want to do it, which is different. We want to bring, and again, this is talking to the people and the people's manifesto.
Okay.
Ghanaians are tired of poverty. I keep hearing the word poor cocoa farmer, poor cocoa farmer, poor cocoa farmer. It's not going to get our young people into farming if we keep our farmers poor. So our model is saying that look at the value of the raw bean, which today is about 8,600 cedis a ton. That's what is paid to the farmer. If you go to what the Cocoa Board receives, you are looking at 12,400 cedis a ton. So the difference between what the government takes from the farmer is about 4,000 cedis a ton. Okay. Now, when you process from beans to nibs, and from nibs into the various components, let's say that you can go from a value, the raw value of ×1 to at least ×3. So if you create a situation where what we are thinking of doing is have cocoa processing plants within the various key cocoa growing districts. You are a farmer and you take your beans today you bag your beans and you take it to the warehouse. It's weighed and an amount of money is given to you. You now go from there where you take your beans to the processing plant. Now that processing plant will be a tolling plant.
A tolling plant?
Yes.
So you are borrowing the tolling.
It's a commercial model that is used in coal and in many other places.
I know there's also a tolling.
There's a tolling arrangement. Yes,
interesting.
Yes. But the point is, you want the farmer to get an increase in income. So if the cocoa plant processes and pays and charges the farmer a tolling fee, for argument's sake, then the farmer can go from 8,600 to, say, for example, you get to a multiple of ×3 to 24,000 cedis on the basis of the processing or the value added that has been done.
So are you talking about large processing factories or small? What are you talking about?
Medium sized. You don't. So you want, for example, a processing plant. There are 800,000 cocoa growing families or farms in Ghana. So if you put, for example, 1 per 1,000 farms, that means you're going to have about, within the entire country, anything between 400 to 800 processing facilities. But the idea is to give value and to increase the farmer's income.
So who own the plant?
It will be a combination of private sector, and I think Cocoa Board will also have some influence in that, because to be able to get international prices for processed cocoa at a certain level, one of the things that Cocoa Board has established itself is the quality of our beans. So we've got to be able to give that quality assurance in the refined, in the processed cocoa as well to the international buyers. There are about 80 countries.
But you still haven't told me where the money will come from to do this. Already Cocoa Board is going, every year they go shopping to get money to even buy cocoa beans. Just to buy the beans, so yes. You need to do a syndicated loan.
Yes,
because and I'm talking about processing 50%.
Because the model is wrong.
So where is the money going to come from?
Let me tell you why the model is wrong. Governments use Cocoa Marketing Board or Cocoa Board as the forex bureau for the country. And that has deprived our farmers of their livelihood and their income. So the focus of the government is, we're going to do a syndicated loan, put the dollars in Bank of Ghana, pay the cocoa farmer in cedis, and then we now have every year our cocoa farmers give us 2 billion cedis. Okay. If you do your processing and you do your value add, you will move from 2 billion to 6 billion. Now, instead of getting the money in one tranche, because you are doing a seasonal export, and you know that when you have cocoa beans, after 3 months in the tropics, the beans get moldy and they deteriorate in quality. When you nip them, as in you take the skin off, it can stay for 10 years. So you no longer have the pressure of 3 months. You have to ship all your cocoa into warehouses in Rotterdam, and then let the Dutch do the processing and sell the cocoa paste and the cocoa butter and the cocoa powder to the rest of the market. Cocoa marketing company will now be reorganized. Yes, we will continue to do raw beans exports, but because you can't go to 50% in one day, but we will start focusing on the value add and marketing cocoa powder, cocoa butter, and cocoa liquor and cocoa nibs to the international market.
Take a short break. I'll take his view on the alternative to 1D, 1F, because the MPP in their manifesto has some interesting things to say about industrialization. We're talking to Kwame Awuah Darko on the NDC's economic plan and on other issues. We haven't spoken about Agyapa. Agyapa deal. We'll be back. Stay with us.
This is the beating heart of an African, ready for what is next. And this is the sound of a Ghanaian drum, setting the pace. Together, it creates a seamless rhythm of what is and what is to come. A sense of purpose which says that there is more to the Ghanaian than a dream. Ghana always stands ready, and First National Bank is happy to invest, partner, and help Ghana to discover more. This is why we are happy to announce our acquisition and subsequent merger with GHL Bank, Ghana's leading provider of mortgage financing. A merger which delivers an opportunity to discover more growth and prosperity for all Ghanaians. Shh. Listen to the heart beat to the rhythm of the drums. It is time for Ghanaians to discover more together. First National Bank and GHL Bank come together as First National Bank. How can we help you?
I'm just not ready yet. I want to wait a little before getting pregnant again.
Stop worrying and live free. No matter who you are, Lydia has a contraceptive just for you. Choose the Lydia Daily Contraceptive Pill with iron as your regular contraceptive, or the Lydia IUD, a non-hormonal contraceptive for long-term pregnancy prevention. Contact the Lydia Contact Center and let us help you decide how to live free. With Lydia, you truly decide.
It's not long ago that things were normal. Good friends could meet for a good drink and share good times. And then everything changed. And our bars, the center of our communities, all closed, sending us all indoors. But now, things are changing. Kakra kakra, small small. We're getting our lives back. Obey, we'll get back to the way things were.
Hey, mama!
Hey, you want a drink?
Yeah, man.
It's time for us to rise up.
Hey, welcome back.
As we look forward to making our bars safe, Guinness Ghana will invest 10 million cedis through the Union Boom program to get our bar owners back on their feet. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back to The Point of View. Today we are not sure whether we are closing at 10 or not, but we will see. Kwame Awuah Darko is my guest here. Now, you just said a lot of things about cocoa. I have a story for you, and almost everything you say, we can check it. Ghana now processes 34% of its cocoa.
Yes.
New data from Ghana's Cocoa Board, the agency that coordinates the cocoa processing sector, revealed that processing of the commodity from its raw form into other products has increased from 23 to 34%. Ghana's government is projecting to have about 50% of its cocoa processed into refined products, such as chocolate and cocoa. Again,
but
MPP has already said it.
But there's a very important distinction.
Which is?
If you have Barry Callebaut and all these multinationals establishing in the free zone, buying cocoa from the farmers at the 8,600 price, you are not making the farmer wealthy. You haven't touched the model. Don't forget that you are looking at Ghanaian contribution to the economy. The minute that cocoa bean leaves the farmer's hands, goes to the processing factory in the free zone, and the value added is ×5. For example, that ×5 addition is GDP, it's not GNP. It's not part of the Ghanaian's production because it's foreign capital that has added the value.
Are you going to nationalize the economy, or what? You keep talking about GDP, GNP?
You are not nationalizing the economy, but you are putting the Ghanaian at the center of the economy. You are a government. You are responsible for Ghanaians. It is your duty to make your people prosperous. You cannot develop a country without developing its citizens. There is no national development without developing Ghanaians. And that is what we have discovered by listening to Ghanaians. That is the power of the People's Manifesto. It is to make sure that our citizens can take ownership of their economy.
But that's what the finance minister wants to do, he says, with the Agyapa deal. He says we play at the lower ranks of gold. He wants to leverage the royalties. He wants us to create in Agyapa a company like the big gold royalty companies in the world, Wheatons and Co.
Look, my thoughts on Agyapa, I'm just going to be very brief on it. And I'm going to touch it back to the economy. If you look at the NDC manifesto, I think it's on page, we made a very bold statement. And the statement we made was that as at today, as at the end of June, you have a situation where government revenue is 155% of government revenue pays for wages, salaries, and interest and amortization of our debt.
On debt.
So if you look at the Agyapa deal, it is because Ghana is broke. It's not about any high idea of trying to play at a certain level. The government needs money, and it needs it today. Because under what circumstance do you now start listing your future income? You are listing your future income, which is I think last year was $200 million. You are listing that because you can't wait for that. You need the money today. That's what Agyapa is about. So the reality is that there is an economic crisis. We are technically
but securitization of future flows is not new. You securitize the road toll levy for a loan. They are doing it for equity, so it's the same thing.
But you can't, if you do it as a loan, your debt to GDP thing will be blown. So it's a very intelligent way of borrowing under debt. And in economics, the first rule you are taught is that debt is cheaper than equity. So why are you going for a higher form of capital? Equity capital is the most expensive form of capital. And that's what Agyapa is doing.
But it doesn't increase our debt stock because you have the people who complain about the debt. But so if you go with equity, it means you're not increasing your debt stock.
But you've got to ask yourself why. And you see, there's a very big problem in our society. If you take 2006 to 2008, the Kufuor government added 9 billion after we left the HIPIC thing. So let's say we were accumulating debt at the rate of 4.5 billion a year. I'm just going to give averages.
We have a minute to end.
And go through quickly. If you look at Mills Mahama, we did 110 billion. So let's say that's average of 14 billion cedis of debt addition a year. So the conditions of the society or the economy have not, were deteriorating or where debt was big. You can point to the things that we did to the debt. If you come to the last 4 years, we've gone from 14.5 billion average a year to 40 billion a year. So what is the reason for that? The reason is very simple. The health of the economy is a problem. And the only way you can actually fix your fiscal is to increase the wealth of your citizens so that you can tax them. When you tax them, you can pay down your fiscal. But
we'll have time to talk about this, hopefully in another program. Thank you for coming through. Good luck with this. Jobs and prosperity for all. Kwame Awuah Darko, who's a former, he's one of the spokespersons on the manifesto. You are in charge of trade and what?
It's trade, industry, and state-owned enterprises.
Thank you for being on the show. We wish you well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Bernard.
That's all we have time for on the show today. My name is Bernard Avlet. Thank you so much for watching. Stay with City TV. The Voters Diary is next.